Picture two guys in sharp, tailored suits just walking slowly through this massive, completely empty marble hall. They stop. They shake hands. But the distance between them, it feels just a little bit too far for comfort. Welcome to today's Explainer. I really want you to lean in closely for this one, because things are absolutely not as they appear. It looks like a high-stakes diplomatic summit, right? But hidden possibilities suggest it's actually more like a blind date arranged by a friend who has already fled the country. What we're really witnessing here is a carefully laid trap.
You see the headlines every single day. You hear the shouting matches on the news. But hidden news reveals that this isn't a political war at all. It's a mathematical trap. We're meant to believe that this is some grand clash of ideologies, or a battle over who builds better fighter jets and vacuum cleaners. But what if the entire geopolitical theater is just hiding an equation that has already been solved? And what if the answer is something literally no one wants to hear?
Section 1. The global blind date. Over the last year, the world has watched tariffs hit levels we really haven't seen since the dark days of the 1930s. It's been a brutal, relentless exchange. And while the press excitedly calls these meetings the Beans and Boeing Summit, most news outlets will never actually explain what's happening behind the curtain. The illusion they present to us is that these trade imbalances are just a simple political choice, but the reality? They are driven by a mathematical force that cares absolutely nothing for handshakes or treaties. We're looking at a system operating entirely in the shadows. So to understand this mystery, we have to start by asking a very simple yet deeply unsettling question. In a world bound together by global trade, what exactly does a manufacturing giant like China actually want to buy from the rest of the world? When those massive cargo ships leave Western ports, what's supposed to be on them? Figuring that out is absolutely crucial to understanding the true nature of our global supply chain. The chilling answer is, well, nothing. Some believe there is literally nothing it cannot make better and cheaper on its own. It's a pursuit of total, unquestioned independence. Think of it like a profoundly skilled baker who works so incredibly hard that he drives the local butcher and the brewer straight into bankruptcy. But eventually, that baker finds himself standing completely alone in a deserted town square, holding a loaf of bread, only to realize that no one in town has a single dime left to buy it. It's a paradox that just ends up making everybody poorer. Which brings us to Section 2, a hidden wealth transfer. If this strategy eventually drains the wealth of the entire town, why on earth would any nation choose to follow it? Well, consider the concept of financial repression. Now, this isn't a term you're going to hear on the evening news, but it's a silent mechanism that systematically drains the average citizen. It's a system where wealth is quietly, almost invisibly transferred from ordinary people directly to manufacturers and the state. It's happening right under our noses without a single tax explicitly being raised. How? It works through forced savings. By keeping interest rates artificially pinned to the floor and maintaining weak labor protections, the system forces a national savings rate so overwhelmingly high that households simply cannot consume what they produce. Just imagine a family sitting at a dinner table with empty plates, yet surrounded by sealed boxes of goods they are strictly forbidden to open. Their wealth is suppressed, just so the state can wield total impenetrable independence. And all of this repressed wealth, all those massive excess savings, they have to go somewhere, right? It creates this unimaginable tide of capital desperately seeking a home. Europe is already drowning in it, losing entire sectors of its industry as it bleeds a deficit of 1 billion euros every single day. Just process that for a second. 1 billion euros vanishing daily, leaving deep, lasting scars across the entire continent. Section 3, the accounting prison. With Europe basically locking its factory gates and unable to absorb this massive wave, the flood of capital turns its gaze across the Atlantic. Now, you were probably always told that the United States simply chooses to consume too much, that it actively chooses to run a trade deficit. But hidden possibilities show the U.S. is actually forced to run a deficit. It's not a choice, it's a mathematical prison. The deepest, most liquid financial markets in the world are in America, which makes it the global consumer of last resort against this terrifying flood. It's governed by this secret rule known as the balance of payments identity. It's an inescapable law of accounting. Basically, when foreign capital flows into your country to buy your assets, your bonds, your real estate, your stocks, you must, by mathematical definition, run a trade deficit. The United States doesn't actively fund its trade deficit. Surplus countries force the U.S. to run one because they literally have nowhere else on the planet to put their mountains of repressed cash. So to absorb this colossal influx of foreign capital, the economy is left standing at a very dark crossroads with only three paths. It can allow mass unemployment and shuttered factories. It can force its own citizens into crushing household debt just to buy the imported goods. Or the government can run a massive fiscal deficit. And since absolutely no politician wants to preside over closed factories and massive job losses, they choose to borrow. Section 4, the feedback loop. So they turn on the printing presses and issue treasury bonds just to keep the economy from violently contracting. But here is the terrifying realization that brings us so much deeper into the shadows. Views reveal that running a deficit to fix this problem, it actually feeds the monster. It's like a snake eating its own tail. Washington issues bonds to protect its economy, completely unaware that the very act of issuing that safe, reliable debt acts like a massive global magnet, pulling in even more of that excess foreign capital. As more and more capital rushes in to buy those freshly printed bonds, the value of the US dollar naturally skyrockets. And sure, a strong dollar sounds wonderful in a political speech, but in reality, it completely crushes American factories. It makes their exports way too expensive for the rest of the world to buy, which mathematically widens the trade deficit even further. The cure is literally accelerating the disease. It leaves us staring at an equation that just seems to have no solution. A perpetual motion machine of debt and imbalance. I want you to tell me what you think. Can the US ever break this mathematical loop? Comment the word identity down below if you believe there is a genuine way out of this trap. Because right now, the bill for this endless loop is finally starting to come due. Section 5, Echoes of the Past. See, this exact mathematical imbalance has accumulated before, and the consequences were absolutely devastating. We're not just looking at spreadsheets here, we're looking at the rhythms of history. Just days ago, the United States government had to sell 30-year debt at a staggering 5% yield. That's the highest it's been since 2007, right before the entire global financial system fractured. It's a massive, incredibly risky gamble by the state, betting that interest rates will eventually fall, even as they engineer inflation through tariffs. It's the sound of a structural engine being pushed way past its red line. History quietly whispers to us that these imbalances tend to reoccur in major destructive cycles. Just look back at the 1920s. The world saw the exact same buildup of massive trade imbalances and wild capital flows. And we all know the tragic conclusion of that era. It ended in a devastating global depression in the 1930s, which ultimately ignited a catastrophic global conflict. The math always resolves itself, guys, one way or another. Section 6, the irony of victory. Which brings us to the final, incredibly tragic realization of how this entire geopolitical system actually began. The cage wasn't built by an enemy, it was built by the victor. Hidden news suggests the US victory at Bretton Woods engineered its current prison. Back in 1944, at the close of the war, the US was the one running massive surpluses. It completely rejected a system that would have penalized surplus nations because, well, at the time it was winning. The US wanted the dollar to be the absolute, unquestioned anchor of the world economy. And it got exactly what it wanted. But that very victory is the math that now mathematically forces it to run the deficits it so desperately hates. Surplus countries today might strut around thinking they hold all the power, but under the surface, they are incredibly fragile. When the music finally stops, they're going to realize they needed the debtors to buy their goods much, much more than they originally thought. So there are really only two ways this story ends: international cooperation, where nations actually agree to balance the scales, or economic catastrophe. And tragically, historically speaking, humanity has almost always chosen that second path. If the global powers refuse to step up and fix the math, the accounting will simply do what accounting always does. It will balance the ledger. Forcefully and without a single ounce of mercy, completely regardless of the fake smiles and handshakes at these diplomatic summits. This isn't just about some abstract trade theory you read in a textbook. It's about the future of your savings. It's about the stability of your world and the unseen forces quietly dictating our lives. The trap is officially set. The numbers are locked in. Will you let the math break you?